Hello, and back again. Sorry, I always have to apologise when I don't get to do videos as frequently as I'd like to, so I always apologise for that. And I'm going to say this: I really hope, and I say it all the time, I really hope that the doorbell doesn't ring while I'm doing this, because the next time that doorbell rings and I'm trying to talk to you lot, I'm going to lose my shit for real on camera. And maybe that will get me 1 million hits on YouTube, but it ain't going to be pretty. So what do I want to talk about? Something pretty recent that's been going on in MMA. Will I ever talk about pro wrestling again? I will. Don't you worry. Wait for the day that I'm in one of my real bad moods, and it will be one of the best videos you've ever seen when I talk about WrestleMania 30 and I talk about wrestling as a whole. That is going to be a video to watch. But while I'm still in a moderately sociable mood, let's talk about MMA. Let's talk about UFC. Let's talk about Chris Weidman and Vitor Belfort, which is actually no longer happening. And I had plans to do a video on that and that whole fight and, you know, all the things that people are talking about. Then I wake up the day of the video I'm going to film, and from what I've been told and what I've read, the Nevada State Commission have banned TRT usage within, their area. Vitor Belfort obviously is the one person that everyone's talking about because he's scheduled to fight Chris Weidman. Vitor Belfort the very next day then pulls out of the fight with Chris Weidman, and then it's announced that now Lyoto Machida is going to be fighting Chris Weidman. So now it's just been this big turnaround in the last, 2 days. All these things have happened, and that's a very, very interesting fight. But first of all, let's talk about the Vitor Belfort situation. I read an article, and if anybody wants it, ask me and I'll send it to you. And I was reading an article, and it was to do with TRT and steroids. And the gist of the article was saying that they had two groups of animals, and they put one group of animals on steroids, and then they put the other groups of animals without steroids. And obviously you notice the group of animals with these performance enhancing drugs, the steroids that they put on, they had the great gains, the whole works. The six-pack abs, the Hugh Jackman shoulders, everything. Then they took the animals off of the steroids, and then obviously they began to look different physically, and they didn't have the same physical gains. And then they later put both groups on TRT. Now, the group who were not put on the PEDs on the TRT had obviously, they were sustaining normal levels. They were not dropping. They were, at a good rate. But the group of animals that were on the PEDs prior to that, literally when they were put on the TRT, they went right back to how they were when they were on the steroids. And that was going to provide a big argument, and I know that would be a big argument against people who are doing TRT who have done steroids, because what the argument is saying is that, look, you've basically put them back to their steroided state, and in a sense just somewhat rewarding them for doing that. So I knew that would be something brought up perhaps in those meetings, and a big argument used as to why TRT should just be stopped, period, especially for guys that are on who have had previous steroid failures and performance enhancing drug failures. I just know that that's going to be something they're going to look at, although I think they also need to look at growth hormone too, but we'll get onto that later. So that was a big thing. And then of course there was going to be some issues getting Vitor Belfort licensed anyways, and then this comes out and Vitor has pulled out of the fight, which we are now all aware of. And as soon as they announced that ban, I just had a feeling we were going to have something happen with Weidman and Belfort's fight, and sure enough, he's been banned. And to be honest with you, it looks like the only place let me phrase this, because I have read that he said he's not going to do TRT anymore. That's what I've read. He's actually gone and said, I don't want to be doing TRT anymore. And in a sense, pulling out on the fight in that sense may have been a good idea, because had he kind of stopped cold turkey, if he'd stopped cold turkey, being nosy, if he stopped cold turkey for Chris Weidman, I think that would have affected his performance. Well, it affects his performance when he takes it or whether he's not, but obviously, it would have been better, and on the amount of time he's got, I think it was a better idea for him to just pull out of the fight and also get off TRT and just, he's got to redeem his image in that respect. And obviously the whole Twitter world went crazy. Michael Bisping, who's very vocal about it, and I don't blame him, saying, look, you're going to ban TRT, but he'll find another way. A lot of fighters will find another way, and I agree. Fighters will always, not all of them, the fighters who need to use these things will always find ways or little loopholes or things to work around it. And Weidman was very vocal about it. I remember when Vitor fought in the summer, and Chris Weidman was on his Twitter account, and he made a comment about Belfort's physique, let's just say that. And that was going to make for a very interesting promotion, because I know that Weidman was very, very much anti-performance enhancing drugs, very anti-TRT. Look, don't, and he's even said, look, we don't want to fight Belfort if he's taking that stuff. But they took the fight anyways, and now we have what's happening now. And I also think that would have been another thing if Weidman had beaten Belfort, and Belfort, was no longer on TRT, when everyone would have just gone, oh well, he fought a completely non-PED version of Vitor Belfort. He really would have won anyways, and it would have been this continuous thing that Weidman has been going through for the last, I want to say, since 2012, where it's like he doesn't get the respect he deserves for going out there and competing against the people that he has. I think that he fought Mark Munoz, and everyone's like, oh, Mark Munoz was out of shape and he was injured. Fights Anderson Silva, everyone says he's not ready for it. He goes out, fights Anderson Silva, ends up knocking out Anderson Silva. And of course, Anderson should never have clowned around in that fight. Never, ever should he have clowned around in that fight. But guess what? He's done that in so many of his fights, and how many people haven't done that, been able to do that to him? Rich Franklin can do that to him. Well, Chris Lieben can do it to him. Franklin can do it to him. Marquardt can do it to him. Oh, who else? Dan Henderson can do that to him. Chael Sonnen can do it to him. Damian Maia can do it to him. Vitor Belfort couldn't do it to him. And Anderson has done that to all of those guys. And now Chris Weidman is the guy that does it, and everyone's like, oh, well, he's lucky, he was lucky, he's lucky, he's lucky. And there's a saying about luck, and it's, you have to be good to be lucky and lucky to be good. And I think that Weidman had it up here, and that's what made him, beat Anderson more than anybody else, is that he had it up here, whereas everyone else didn't. Everyone else folded. Vitor Belfort practically shit the pan in that fight. Go and watch that fight if you know what I mean. And even after that, when he fought Anderson the second time with the infamous leg break, and what people are going to ignore is that prior to that leg break, Weidman had improved, and he was actually checking his leg kicks. The first fight, Anderson was lighting him up with kicks. The second time, Weidman had them checked. Weidman took him down. Weidman punched him down and dropped Anderson and was hitting him. So people completely ignore that, and I think that's a bit of a slight, because if that had happened with Vitor, everyone would have said it. And Michael Bisping being one of the guys that's been saying that a lot, actually, and I would love to see that fight. It'd be a very promotable fight. Fuck my words, my English language, butchering it. So now we've got everything that's happened, and in the wings, 185 is getting interesting with this Weidman winning, Anderson being injured, and now things opening up. You've got Jacare on the way up. Rockhold seems to be back on form. Michael Bisping, will he ever get a title shot? Possibly. I think if he's going to get a title shot, it's going to be this year. What else have we got going on? Gegard Mousasi, who's down there. And then, of course, the guy that beat Gegard Mousasi, Lyoto Machida. And now Machida is the number one contender. And I'll tell you what, I had a lot of hope for Weidman beating Belfort, because I think that he's got the tools to do it. A strong wrestler, can grapple, can keep him up by the fence. Belfort's quicker in the hands, but I think that Weidman can just press the action, keep him up by the wall, take him down, make him uncomfortable, make him miserable, give him hell. He would have won that fight. Lyoto Machida, on the other hand, is a different fight, and I'll tell you what, when I heard that Lyoto was going down to 185, I was very interested to hear what would happen there. Because I view him as an elite fighter. I'm a big fan of his style, funnily enough, even though people don't like it. I like the fact that he fights the way he does, and he doesn't go into anybody else's fight. He fights the fight he wants to fight. And Machida is already a very, very quick guy at light heavyweight. So watching him at middleweight and destroying Mark Munoz was just amazing to watch. He just looked like an absolute assassin, and he looked shredded, and he looked faster than ever, and that makes me concerned, because I think that he could He does very well when he goes up against grapplers. He does very, very well against them. And Weidman's striking isn't his best weapon. His wrestling and his grappling is. Granted, he's just knocked out Anderson Silva. But his best weapons are his wrestling and his jiu-jitsu, and I would even dare say his ground and pound. If he can educate his hands a bit more, he could do some serious damage, Weidman. But Machida has that over him, and he's so quick. And he's even quicker at 185. And I think that aura is being rebuilt again around Lyoto Machida, especially at 185 now, of how do you beat him. Then again, he has been beaten. Let's not forget that. Let's not forget Machida can be and has been beaten. Shogun Hua did it when he threw leg kicks and he slowed him down, and then caught, was able to close the distance on him a lot easier. Who else was there? There was Quinton Rampage Jackson, just staying aggressive. Constantly aggressive, just not even staying still, just constant movement and winning the fight that way. You had, who else? John Jones beating him, although he gave John Jones some trouble in the first round. He was getting in and out, and I think he was doing very well, I'll say that. But then John Jones able to find his rhythm and beat him. Who else has beaten Lyoto Machida? Dan Henderson didn't, but Phil Davis did. And Phil Davis is, for his weight class, I think Weidman is a better fighter at his weight class than Davis is. So he can beat him, and there is footage of knowing how to beat him. I think that Weidman might be a little bit slower than Machida, and I give the speed advantage to him, but he's going to have to really catch him. And that's going to be a very interesting fight. And I'll tell you what, I think that this fight is so much tougher than Belfort and Weidman, significantly tougher. But I also think this is a good thing for Weidman because, again, as I said before, it's like people aren't giving the man the respect that he deserves. It's like everyone's saying, oh, well, he was lucky here or he was lucky there. And well, listen, he won. Anderson lost. Get over it. But if he beats Lyoto Machida, I think that would shut a lot of people up because Lyoto is a very respected fighter, a very skilled fighter, a very highly regarded fighter. And if Weidman can beat him, I think that that's an additional credibility boost. Anyways, I'm going to stop because my mouth is starting to get dry. I've got to work till midnight. So guys, let me know what you think. If you think that this is a great fight, let me know. Who do you think's going to win? Weidman or Machida? Do you think that Machida will be the middleweight champion? Because I'm telling you what, this is one of the fights where I think Machida might actually do it. I really think he might actually pull this one off. I'm close to saying I'll go with Machida. Because he's looked great at 185, I'll say that. Although I didn't really like them. You know what, I'm going to stop. Guys, let me know what you think. What do you think's going to happen, Machida or Weidman? Will we ever see Belfort and Weidman? What's going to happen there? Guys, let me know what you think. Let me know what you feel. Anyone seen any of the recent Anderson Silva stuff? Do you think Anderson's going to come back, fight for the title? Let me know what you all think, feel. Express it. If you feel it, type it. Google, or not Google me. Don't Google me. Comment, rate, subscribe. I'm rambling on, wittering on, guys. Take care. Love you all. Peace. And I'm going to be doing another video in a little bit. Love you all. Take care. And boom. And also check out the Pettis and Aldo video from earlier.